Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Alternate Future of the World. Let's get into it. Last episode a lot of stuff happened. We saw the start of a second Cold War thing, between India and China. And we have a NATO. Austria joined NATO. And Ukraine. That's what we're going to be continuing today, because Austria is going to continue their invasion of Ukraine. But this time, the lines are a little bit easier to see because they're colored in. So the Russians will be continuing their invasion after the ceasefire ends, and will be successful at getting towards here until the West sends a lot more help into Ukraine, and eventually they're able to push back and even start pushing into Russian lands with the Western help, until the Russians will send more and more troops into Ukraine, and eventually Kiev is getting close to being threatened, or is being threatened. Let me take credit there later, as they will do this. Yeah. And then Romania will decide to allow troops to go invade back into here, as the West will be sending more help until a second ceasefire is made. Let's see what that ceasefire looks like. And this is the ceasefire. And NATO is kind of worried about this. They don't really want Ukraine to be taken over by Russia because just want to be good. So eventually an agreement will be made with Russia, and they will make an official peace treaty. Let's see what that peace treaty looks like. And this is the peace treaty. And after this, Ukraine will become an official member of NATO. And that makes Russia not really, kind of worry, as maybe other nations might join the organization. But when we go to the Middle East down here, actually that would not be too realistic. So these two are going to be invading Iran. So Saudi Arabia and Iran made this pact thing to try and take over the Middle East. And Iraq is going to be declared war by both of them. And when the troops are sent in, they are starting with being close to Baghdad. And then Saudi Arabia comes in through the south. And then the Turks, see a chance to get in on this, and they will not be, Iraq is going to fall. Let's look at a peace treaty between all three of these countries. And this is the peace treaty. And then Turkey is also going to be declaring war on Lebanon. And, that happens. Let's try to look at, the very expected peace treaty there. Very easy. And it looks like Turkey is doing a lot of stuff in the Middle East. And NATO, doesn't support this. Because, but they do see Turkey as a sort of, it would be really, not a good thing if they left the organization, as they have good relations with some of these Middle Eastern countries, at least now, because they got a new leader that wants to reform the Ottoman Empire. And if they aligned with Russia, that wouldn't be so good for NATO. But what the Turks are going to do is they're going to continue their expansions and invade into Jordan. And when they invade, some other countries are not going to allow the Turkish to make a way to the coastline, specifically Saudi Arabia and Egypt. So they will both be invading in and take the rest of the land. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. And if you're wondering why the map is white, as of recording this, I haven't uploaded the first episode, so that I have that question from last episode of Alternate Future. I haven't gotten to see the comments yet, so yeah. And eventually, some other countries will be joining this alliance, like Egypt. Nope, wait, solid fill there. And, land. Yeah, land is joining this thing. So this Middle Eastern pact very quickly is taking over the Middle East. And yeah, that makes sense. Let's go to India, because Nepal and Bhutan are not what we're talking about. We're talking about Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is being pressured by both India and Myanmar to join their alliance, but they will refuse, so okay. They will both be declaring war. And Burmese and Indian troops will be able to after a while, because Bangladesh has a lot of population, after a while they will be able to take down Bangladesh, but it'll take a couple years of fighting because it is a lot there. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. And now India is proposing to Myanmar for them to unite to possibly form an Indian empire. But India is going to continue forming their empire by sort of invading Sri Lanka, with Tamil, and yeah. Now India's became pretty big, and now they're looking in other directions. No, not there. Maybe other directions, like their own allies, for friends. Yeah. Now let's go to Africa, because this union thing, the Democratic Republic of Congo has finally got the papers signed. And the Democratic Republic of the Congo has joined the East African Community, officially forming the East African Federation. There. If we go to Somalia, guess who's invading it? Okay. Yeah. Somalia. Okay. Somaliland is also declaring independence, like they've been doing for the past many years. And the Ethiopian troops will be able to cut into it and take over a bunch of this land. They do promise Somaliland independence. And then eventually, the East African Federation thing also wants to get into some of this land. So, they will be invading. And because they're a new country, their military is not doing so well, but they will be able to capitulate Somalia altogether. Let's look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. Looks some familiar-ish. That kind of looks like an Italian colony or something, but with Ethiopia and Somaliland. Yeah. And some other countries are applying to join the East African Federation, like the Congo. And the East African Federation here is going to form an alliance. Which shape can I use? No. I've used pretty much every shape. Yeah, I've used triangle, square, diamond, circle, right triangle, star. How about 4-point star? Yeah, the 4-point star alliance. Yeah. And this alliance will be to have protection in Africa. And they are going to invite some members in Southern Africa, like South Africa, who is going to accept, Angola, who is going to accept, Madagascar, who is going to accept, Mozambique, who is going to accept, Namibia, who's going to accept, Botswana, who's going to accept, Zimbabwe is going to accept. And you may see a pattern about this. They're all in the southern parts of Africa. Yeah. Now it's time to talk about Nigeria, because they've grown really fast, and they have 290 million people, which means a lot of soldiers. So they are going to be forming a sort of empire thing, going imperial, and invading Benin. Maybe not Togo. Let me just do that. Yeah. And very quickly, Benin is going to fall, because Benin's a weak country. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So yeah. And also some unifications are going to happen over in this Western African area. Guinea-Bissau and Guinea are going to unite. And also Liberia is going to think about uniting with one of these other countries. And also, for some reason, this thing exists. Yeah. Let me make that look better. And Gambia unites with Senegal. Yeah, that looks better. And Togo is scared. So about the incoming threat called Nigeria, which now they have 300 million people. Oh, they're gonna join up with Ghana. And some countries are going to, like, an alliance sort of thing is going to be made by Nigeria. Wait, what thing can I use? Yeah, the Lightning Alliance. So Ivory Coast and this thing and all these countries will be joining this alliance, and their goal is to unite all of West Africa. So if I can get the brush out, maybe about all of this land, they want to unite all of it under one empire. Yeah, that's something. If we go over to Venezuela, Venezuela is going to continue their conquests in Suriname, and Venezuela is going to use a lot of their troops to go into Suriname, and they will be, taking them out. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So, also Trinidad and Tobago was threatened invasion from Venezuela if they didn't join Venezuela, which they did. Yeah. And quickly-ish, Venezuela making an empire. Yeah. And South America is becoming influenced by China greatly. Yeah, that's something. Yeah. Let's go back to Africa. Lots of stuff happening in Africa today. But Western Sahara gets officially annexed into Morocco. There, that looks like something. And, something bad is happening in Mali. Yeah. Okay, so Mali civil wars began, and this is mostly desert, but the terrain makes it hard. And this has been happening for a while, and eventually, after many years, Mali surrenders because they're kind of not doing so well. They're broke. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty, just a straight line dividing Mali. There. And this new country here is going to join one of these countries, either Algeria, Mauritania, or Nigeria. Let's see which one they choose. And they will be joining up with Mauritania. And now Mali is small. And they're thinking of joining the Lightning Alliance. Yeah. Let's go to Morocco. Because Morocco and Algeria are not having very good tensions. In Algeria, they're going to be declaring war on both of these countries. Quickly, Tunisia will not be doing so well, as they're a weak country and they fall, which is very bad for people in the Mediterranean that are against Algeria. And they also do a quick invasion into Morocco, and cut off Western Sahara, which okay, yeah, which is going to be invaded by another side, and eventually, that's going to happen. Let's look at a peace treaty, and this is the peace treaty, and because of this, both of these countries will be joining the Circle Alliance, which is, definitely something. Let's go to Europe now because not much is happening here. Well, what is happening here is a unification between the Portuguese and Spain, as they will both be unifying into one. They will keep their combined NATO membership, and that happens. While we're at the Balkans, Kosovo, it's definitely doing something. Yeah, but they will be getting immense Western help, but still, that happens. Let's look at the peace treaty, which is very simple. And if I make it look better on this corner, looks something like this. There. Serbia's expanded, and now Serbia has nowhere to expand. And Moldova is thinking about joining Romania, and they actually will be joining Romania. Like this. making a Romanian-Moldovan union thing. Let's look at Armenia, because Armenia is not doing so well. They will be getting help from Russians and Chinese and maybe a couple North Koreans, but yeah, not doing so well. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. And currently it looks something like that Turkey may be trying to make a sort of Ottoman Empire, just saying. Why are we in Afghanistan? Okay. I guess countries have had enough with Afghanistan, and now every single one of its neighbors is invading. Even though Afghanistan is known as the graveyard of empires, and the Taliban is there, with all these forces, they just have the numbers. Yeah. This was a joint operation of many countries in order to take down the graveyard of empires. Let's look at the peace treaty, or aka the division of Afghanistan. And this is the peace treaty. Yeah, the division of Afghanistan. And that is going to do it for today's episode of Alternate Future of the World. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. See you in the next episode, and bye!